I wish someone sat me down before starting raising art and said, "You will make mistakes. Everyone does." The good news is that most beginner mistakes are completely avoidable once you know what to look out for. So, in this video, I'll be sharing 10 common mistakes almost every beginner makes, and most importantly, how to avoid them. Hi everyone, welcome to Sprinkle of Resin. My name is Chamaka, and on this channel we make resin art simple, practical, and beginner friendly. If you are new to resin art or you are thinking about starting, this video will definitely help to save you time, money, and a lot of frustration. Like I said before, I'll be sharing 10 common mistakes almost every beginner makes. Number one on my list is thinking that resin is just mix, pour, and done. Well, for this one, I'll blame social media because you'll be scrolling online and next thing you'll see a 30 seconds video. And on that video, you will just see the mixing, the pouring, the molding, and it's done. And then you will think that resin art is easy. But what you don't know is that raising art has a learning curve. There are measurements to follow, temperature to consider, measuring techniques to learn, curing times to understand. It's creative, yes, but it's also a skill. Don't pressure yourself to be perfect immediately. Give yourself the permission to learn and grow. The second mistake is not reading instructions. This may sound obvious, but many beginners skip the instructions, and I totally understand why. We assume that all resin works the same way, but different brands have different mixing ratios. One resin may require equal parts, another may require completely different measurements. Instructions are there for a reason. So, before opening your resin, please spend a few minutes reading the instructions. The number three mistake is measuring incorrectly. Resin likes accuracy. If you add too much hardener or too much resin, your project may not cure properly. It's not even may not cure, it will not cure properly. And this is one of the reasons why beginners always end up with sticky resin. I always tell beginners this: you don't guess with resin, you measure. Always measure your resin. Taking that extra time to measure correctly can help save you an entire project. So with resin, always endeavor to measure. Don't always guess. A fourth mistake is mixing too fast. Another common beginner mistake is rushing the process. Sometimes we are excited to start pouring, so we mix quickly. Unfortunately, fast mixing introduces air into the resin, and this air means bubbles. Resin rewards patience, so slow and steady mixing always gives the best results. Number five mistake is adding too much pigment or additives. This one can be really tempting. You want the colors to be brighter, you want more glitters, you want all the effects, but adding too much can affect how the resin behaves. Sometimes adding less is really more. So start small and then you can add more if needed. The number six mistake is buying too many supplies at once. Let me tell you something that happened to almost every resin beginner, I inclusive. Yes, you watch videos online and suddenly you want every mode. You want all the pigments, all the flowers, all the glitters, all the tools. And before you know it, you have spent a lot of money and you haven't even done your first project. I totally understand the excitement because raising art is really fun and inspiring. But what you don't know is that having too many supplies doesn't automatically make you a better resin artist. In fact, having too many supplies can become overwhelming because instead of learning the basics, you are trying to figure out 20 different things all at the same time. My advice is this: start with the essentials first. That is a good resin and hardener, a few molds, a couple of pigments, measuring cup, mixing cups, and mixing sticks. Then when you are comfortable working with resin, you can then add to your collection. The seventh mistake is working in an unprepared workspace. This mistake usually happens because we are excited. We mix our resin first and then suddenly we realize, where is my mold? Where did I keep my gloves? You start looking for things, and when you start running around looking for all these things, your resin is sitting in the cup. Here's what beginners don't know: resin has working time. Once you mix your part A and part B, the clock starts ticking. You don't have forever when you are working with resin. So every minute matters. If you waste time after mixing your resin and hardener, what will happen is that your resin might cure inside your mixing cup even before you start pouring. You have a flash cure. So once you mix your resin and hardener, you have to be very fast. So my advice is this: before you mix that resin, before not even before you mix, before you measure out your resin, make sure that all the tools you need is already in place. The number 8 mistake is touching the piece too soon. When I started resin art, I did this a lot. I always want to know if it's cured already. But what you don't know is that some resins take up to 24 hours to cure properly. So you don't have to be touching it all the time to know if it's cured. Sometimes it might look ready, but it's not. You have to give your resin enough time to cure properly. I know it's difficult, but patience always gives a better result. The ninth mistake is throwing away failed projects too quickly. Some of the best lessons comes from failed projects. Maybe there were bubbles, it didn't cure evenly, it didn't go as planned, or the colors didn't work out together. This doesn't automatically mean it's a failure. Every imperfect piece is giving you an information. It's telling you that something happened during the process. Maybe you mixed too quickly, didn't measure correctly, you added too much pigment, or maybe that the environment affected the resin. So instead of throwing it away, ask yourself, what happened here? What could I do differently next time? What did this project teach me? The last one I'll be talking about is comparing yourself to other resin artists. This may be the biggest mistake of all. Social media will show us amazing works, beautiful designs, perfect finishes, incredible color combinations, and then you start asking yourself, why doesn't my work look like this? But what you don't know is that you're comparing your beginning to someone else's years of experience. Every resin artist was once a beginner. Yes, that resin artist you're admiring today probably has projects that they would never post online. So don't compare someone's chapter 20 to your chapter 1. It's always progress over perfection. If you take one thing away from today's video, let it be this: making mistakes doesn't mean that you are a bad resin artist. Mistakes are part of learning. The goal is not to avoid every mistake. The goal is to learn from them and to continue creating. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thank you for spending time with me today, and I'll see you in my next video. But until then, keep creating and enjoy the process.